leaders and had been of late much accustomed to usurpation and... Alice, would you kindly pay attention to your history lesson?
I'm sorry, but how can one possibly pay attention to a book with no pictures in it?
My dear child, there are a great many good books in this world without pictures.
In this world, perhaps, but in my world, the books would be nothing but pictures.
In your world? What nonsense!
Once more,
Nonsense? That's it, Dinah. If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is, because everything would be what it isn't. And contrariwise, what it is, it wouldn't be, and what it wouldn't be, it would. You see?
Canterbury found it advisable. Oh, Alice. Come along, Alice. It's time for tea.
Oh, all right. Very well, then. Oh, Edith, please take Dinah. I forgot the book.
All right, then. Don't dawdle. Your tea will get cold.
Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, I'm late. Oh, I shall be too late.
Whoever heard of a rabbit with a pocket or a watch to take out of it?
Oh, I'm late. Oh, I'm late. Oh, gosh. Oh, I'm late for a very important date.
Now, this is curious. What could a rabbit possibly be late for? It must be an awfully important engagement. Wait! Please, sir! Mr. Rabbit! Oh, dear. Where did he go? Oh. I've never seen a rabbit hole this big. Oh, dear. I've never been in a rabbit hole this big. Well, after such a fall as this, I should think nothing of tumbling downstairs. How brave they will all think of me at home. Huh, this is very deep, for I am falling very slowly. I wonder if I shall fall right through the center of the earth. How funny it'll be to come out among the people who walk with their heads downwards. I wonder how many miles I've fallen by this time. I must be getting somewhere near the center of the earth. Dinah should miss me very much tonight, I should think. I hope they'll remember her saucer of milk at tea time. Oh no! Oh dear! Oh!
Oh, my ears and whiskers. Oh, how late it's getting.
Oh! What a beautiful garden. I must get there. No, I'll look first and see if it says poison or not. What a curious feeling! Oh, I forgot the key. Come, there's no use crying like this. Well, I'll eat it, and if it makes me grow larger, I can reach the key, and if it makes me grow smaller, I can creep under the door. So either way, I'll get to the garden. Oh no! Oh, not again! No, I shan't fit through the small door again. Oh, you ought to be ashamed of yourself to go on crying in this way. Stop this moment, I tell you. Stop!
Oh, the duchess. Oh, won't she be savage if I kept her waiting?
If you please, sir. Sir? Oh. How strange everything is today. Let me think. Was I the same when I woke up this morning? But if I'm not the same, then the next question is, who in the world am I? Oh.
Here we are, so wet. How are we to get dry?
Sit down, all of you, and listen to me. I'll soon make you dry enough.
I feel sure I will catch a cold if I do not get dry very soon.
Ahem. This is the driest thing I know. Silence all around, if you please. William the Conqueror, whose cause was favored by the Pope, was soon submitted to by the English, who wanted leaders and had been of late much accustomed to usurpation and conquest. Edwin and Morcar. I beg your pardon. Did you speak? Not I. I thought you did. I proceed. Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria, declared for him, and even Stigand, the patriotic Archbishop of Canterbury, found it advisable.
Found what?
Found it. Of course you know what it means.
I know what it means. When I find a thing, it's generally a frog or a worm. The question was, what did the Archbishop find?
Found it advisable to go with Edgar Atheling to meet William and offer him the crown. William's conduct at first was moderate, but the insolence of his Norman...
How are you getting along now, my dear?
Oh, as wet as ever.
It doesn't seem to dry me at all.
Well, in that case, I move this meeting to an adjourn for the immediate adoption of more antigenic remedies.
Speak English. I don't know me about those long words. And what's more, I don't believe you do either.
What I was going to say, that the best thing to get us dry would be a caucus race.
What is a caucus race?
Why, the best way to explain it is to do it. So, you stay there, you come over there, you come up here, you stay there, and you go down there. Are we all ready? On your marks, get set, go! The race is over. But who has won? Well, everybody has won, and we all must have prizes.
But who is to give the prizes?
Why, she, of course. One for you. This there.
But she must have a prize herself, you know.
Of course. What have you got in your pocket? Only a thimble. Hand it here. We beg your acceptance of this elegant thimble. Please, tell me your story.
Mine is a long and sad tale.
Why, it is a long tale, certainly. But why do you call it sad?
We lived beneath the mat, warm and snug and fat. But one woe, and that was the cat. To our joys a clog, in our eyes a fog, on our hearts a log was the dog. And when the cat's away, then the mice will play. But alas, one day, so they say, came the dog and cat, hunting for a rat, crushed the mice all flat, each one as he sat, underneath the mat, warm and snug and fat. Think of that! You are not attending. What are you thinking of?
You had got to the fifth bend, I think.
I had not.
Not? Oh, please let me help to undo it.
I shall do nothing of the sort. You insult me by talking such nonsense.
Oh, she didn't mean it.
You're so easily offended, you know.
Hey, sir, come
Finish your
on.
story.
Please do.
What a pity it wouldn't stay.
I wish Dinah were here, I know I do. She'd soon fetch it back.
And who is Dinah, if I may venture to ask the question?
But Dinah's our cat. And she's the most capital one for catching mice you can't think. And oh, I wish you could see her after the birds.
I really must be getting home.
The noise doesn't suit me throat.
Come along. It's high time we were all in bed.
I wish I hadn't mentioned Dinah. Nobody seems to like her down here, and I'm sure she's the best cat in the world. Oh, my dear Dinah, I wonder if I shall ever see you.
Chauncey, explain yourself.
But I'm afraid I can't explain myself, sir, because I'm not myself, you know.
I do not know.
And I can't put it any more clearly, for it isn't clear to me.
You? Who are you?
Oh dear, everything is so confusing.
It is not.
Well, it is to me. I can't remember things as I used to. And
Can't remember what things.
well, I tried to say how doth the little busy bee, but it is all different.
Recite.
Oh, yes, sir. How doth the little busy bee
Oh, stop! That is not spoken correctically. It goes, how doth the little crocodile improve its shining tail and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale? How cheer! How cheer! How cheerfully he seems to grin, how gently spreads his jaws and welcomes little fishies in with gently smiling jaws.
Oh, but I've never heard it that way before.
I know. I've improved it.
Well, if you ask me,
You? Huh. Who are you? Oh, you there, girl? Come back. I have something important to say.
well, this does sound promising.
Keep your temper.
Is that all?
No. Exactly what is your problem?
Well, it's exactly. Well, it's precisely this. All I wish to do is find the right rabbit so I can get on my way.
Which way?
Oh dear, this is all so strange.
Is it?
Well, perhaps you haven't found it so yet, but when you turn into a chrysalis, you will one day, you know, and then after that into a butterfly. I should think you'll find it all a little strange, won't you?
Not a bit. Oh, and by the way, if you really want to know, he went that way.
Who did?
The white rabbit.
He did?
He did what?
Went that way.
Who did?
The white rabbit!
What rabbit?
Oh, dear, I'd better be getting on my way. Which way did that white rabbit run off to?
What is it, my dear?
Something's wrong. I feel like someone's watching us.
An invitation to the duchess to play croquet from the queen.
From the Queen, an invitation for the Duchess to play croquet.
Too much pepper in the soup.
There's no sort of sense in not eating. First, because I'm on the same side of the door as you are. And secondly, they're making such a noise inside, no one could possibly hear you.
Please then, how am I to get in?
There might be some use in you knocking if we had a door between us. For instance, if you were inside, you could knock and I could let you out. You know?
How am I to get in?
I shall sit here until tomorrow.
Quit your sneezing.
Or next door, maybe.
How am I to get in?
Are you getting it all? That's the first question. You know?
It really is dreadful the way these creatures argue. It's enough to drive one crazy.
I'm making
boy shall sit here, on and off, for dies and dies.
But what am I supposed to do?
Anything you like. Of course, I could get you as a spare door, and you could practice going out.
But I want to go in.
Boy shall sit here for dies on end until asked back for popular demand.
There's no use in talking to him. He's perfectly idiotic.
Speak roughly to your little boy and beat him when he sneezes. He only does it to annoy because he knows it teases. Soup needs more pepper, pig.
There's too much pepper in that soup.
Too much pepper in the soup, pig.
Why does your cat grin like that?
Don't you know anything? You're looking at a Cheshire cat.
I didn't know Cheshire cats always grinned.
They all can, and most of them do. More pepper.
Well, I don't know of any that do. It's the most curious thing I ever saw in all my life.
You haven't seen much, and that's a fact, pig.
I beg your pardon.
Why? I don't beg yours. You should beg mine. It's only fair. Besides, begging isn't nice.
Be careful, you might hurt the baby.
More pepper.
Why does the cat grin like that?
What a dull girl you are. I told you it's a Cheshire cat. They always grin. It's all they're good for.
I didn't know cats could grin at all.
Here, you take it. I must go and get ready to play croquet with the Queen.
Why do you take this child away? There's no telling what might happen to it. Don't sneeze on the baby.
Needs more pepper.
Don't pepper the baby. Grunting is not a proper way of expressing yourself, my dear. If you're going to grunt like a pig, I'll have nothing more to do with you.
It's not a baby. It's a pig. See for yourself.
Oh my, it is a pig!
Give it here. I know how to deal with his sort.
Well, if it had grown up, it would have been a dreadfully ugly child.
But a rather handsome pig, I think.
I'm still wet.
What was that speech again?
William the Conqueror, whose cause was favored by the Pope, was soon submitted to by the English, who wanted leaders and had been of late much accustomed to usurpation and conquest.
Usurpation and what again?
And conquest.
Conquest.
Yes, conquest.
This is gonna take a while.
What interesting butterflies. You mean bread and butterflies?
Naturally.
I beg your pardon. Did you? Oh, that's nonsense. Flowers can't talk.
But of course we can talk, my dear.
If there's anyone worth talking to.
Can all the flowers talk?
As well as you can. It isn't manners for us to begin, you know. And I was really wondering when you'd speak.
Said I to myself, her face has got some sense in it.
Though it's not a very clever one. Still, she's a good caller, and that goes a long way.
I don't care about the colour. If only her petals curled up a little more, she'd be alright.
Aren't you sometimes frightened of being planted out here with nobody to take care of you?
There's a tree. What else is it good for?
But what could it do if any danger came?
It could bark. It says bow wow. That's why its branches are called bows. Didn't
Did you know that?
Silence, everyone
a genus are you then? Well, I suppose you would call me a genus humanus Alice.
Ever seen an Alice with a blossom like that? Come to think of it, have you ever seen an Alice? Yes. Did you notice her petals? What a peculiar color. And no fragrance. Just look at those stems. Rather scrawny, I'd say.
She could use some pruning, but I'm not a flower.
Just as I suspected. She's nothing but a common mobile vulgaris. Oh no!
A common what?
To put it bluntly, a weed.
I'm not a weed. Oh, well, you wouldn't expect her to admit it.
Can you imagine? Oh goodness. Pluck her up. Cast her out.
Don't just stay here and go to sea.
We could be overrun with weeds. Please, girls. Go get Allie.
All right. That's the way you feel about it. I could pick every one of you if I wanted to. Guess that'd teach you. You can learn a lot of things from the flowers. Seems to me they could learn a few things about manners. Cheshire Cat, would you mind telling me which way I ought to go from here?
That depends a good deal on where you want to go to.
Well, I don't much care where,
Then it doesn't matter which way you go.
so long as I get somewhere.
Oh, you're sure to do that. If only you walk long enough.
What sorts of people live about here?
In that direction lives a hatter, and in that direction lives a March hare. Visit either you like. They're both mad.
But I don't want to go among mad people.
Oh, you can't help that. We're all mad here. I'm mad, you're mad.
How do you know I'm mad?
You must be, or you wouldn't have come here.
And how do you know you're mad?
To begin with, a dog's mad. Now, a dog's not mad. You grant that?
I suppose so.
Well, then you see, a dog growls when it's angry, and wags its tail when it's pleased. Now I growl when I'm pleased, and wag my tail when I'm angry. Therefore, I'm mad.
Well, I call it purring, not growling.
Call it what you like. Do you play croquet with the queen today?
I should like it very much, but I haven't been invited yet.
I'm quite certain that you've been invited. You'll see me there.
Oh. Everything is so confusing here. Now, let's see. The hatter was this way, or was that the march hare? Oh, dear. Oh. To the house of Tweedle Dee. To Tweedle Dum's house. Dum. Dee. Suppose they've each got Tweedle round at the back of the collar.
If you think we're waxworks, you ought to pay, you know. Waxworks aren't made to be looked at for nothing, no.
Contrary-wise, if you think we're alive, you ought to speak.
I'm sure. I'm very sorry.
I know what you're thinking, but it isn't so nowhere.
Contrary-wise, if it was so, it might be. And if it were so, it would be. But as it isn't, it ain't. That's logic.
Well, I was thinking, which is the best way out of this wood? It's getting dark. Would you tell me, please?
Like poetry, you do.
Yes, pretty well. Some poetry, that is.
What shall we repeat to her?
The Walrus and the Carpenter.
That's longest.
The sun was shining on the sea.
Shining with all his might.
He did his very best to make.
The billows smooth and bright.
And this was odd.
Because it was the middle of the night. The walrus and the carpenter were walking close at hand.
They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand.
If this were only cleared away,
They said,
it would be grand. Oh, Whitfield, come and walk with us.
The Walrus did beseech.
A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk along the briny bridge.
We cannot do with more than 4. To give a hand to each.
the eldest oyster looked at him, but never a word he said.
The mama oyster winked her eyes and shook her heavy head.
Meaning to say she did not choose to leave the oyster bed.
But 4 young oysters are feed up, all eager for the treat.
shoes are clean and neat.
And this was fairly odd because they hadn't any feet.
4 oysters followed them, and yet another 4.
And thick and fast they came at last, and more and more and more.
All hopping through the frothy waves and scrambling to shore.
The time has come
The walrus said.
to talk of many things. Of shoes and ships and sealing wax, of cabbages and peas, and why the sea is boiling hot, and whether pigs have wings.
And whether pigs have wings.
A loaf of bread
The walrus said.
is what we chiefly need.
Pepper and vinegar besides are very good indeed.
Now, if you're ready, oysters dear, we can begin to feed.
The oysters cried, turning a little blue.
After such kindness, that would be a dismal thing to do.
The night is fine
The walrus said.
to play them such a trick. After we brought them out so far and made them trot so quick.
The carpenter said nothing but.
The butter's spread too thick.
I weep for you.
The walrus said.
I deeply sympathize.
Through sobs and tears, he sorted out those largest of their size.
Holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes.
Oh, yes. The time has come, my little friends, to talk of food and things.
Of peppercorn, some mustard seed, and other seasonings. Hip hip hooray, we'll eat today, like cabbages and kings.
Oh, oysters.
You've had a pleasant run.
Shall we be trotting home again?
But answer came there none.
But answer came there none.
And this was scarcely odd because they'd eaten every one.
Well, I like the walrus best because, you see, he was a little sorry for the poor oysters.
He ate more than the carpenter though.
Then I like the carpenter best.
But he ate as many as he could get.
Well, at any rate, I'd better be getting out of this wood, for it really is getting very dark. Do you think it's going to rain?
No, I don't think it is, at least not in a year, no, Al.
But it may rain outside.
It may if it chooses. We've no objection, contrary-wise.
Foolish things.
Do you see that?
It's only a rattle. An old rattle, quite old and broken.
I knew it. It's spoiled, of course.
Now, you needn't be so angry about an old rattle.
But it isn't old. It's new, I tell you. I bought it yesterday. My nice new rattle. Of course, you agreed to have a battle.
I suppose so. Only she must help us to dress up.
Where does this go?
Around my neck.
To keep my head from being cut off.
It's one of the most serious things that can possibly happen when in battle. You all look very pale.
Well, yes, a little.
Oh, I'm very brave generally, only today I happen to have a headache.
And I've got a toothache. I'm far worse off than you.
Then we'd better not fight today.
We must have a bit of a fight.
Yes. What's the time now?
4:30.
Let's fight till 6 and then have dinner.
And she can watch us, only you better not come very close. I generally hit everything I can see when I get really excited.
And I hit everything within reach, whether I can see it or not. On guard.
Touche. Would you be good enough to stop a minute?
Just to get one's breath again.
There was never a more glorious battle, was there? No, Al?
Oh, yes. But I'd better be getting on my way. It really is getting very dark.
Dinner time already?
No more pepper! More pepper!
Everything is so
some wine?
I don't see any wine.
There isn't any.
Well, then it wasn't very civil of you to offer it.
It wasn't very civil of you to sit without being invited.
I didn't know it was your table. It's laid for a great many more than 3.
Your hair wants cutting.
You should learn not to make personal remarks. It's very rude.
Oh, why is a raven like a writing desk?
We shall have some fun now. I love riddles. I believe I can guess that.
Do you mean you think you can find out the answer to it?
Exactly so.
Then why don't you say what you mean?
I do. At least I mean what I say. That's the same thing, you know.
Oh, not the same thing a bit. Why, you might just well say, I see what I eat is the same as I eat what I see. Oh, you might just as well say that. I like what I get. It's the same thing as I get what I like.
You might as well say that. I breathe when I sleep. That's the same thing as I sleep when I breathe.
It is the same thing with you. Oh! What day of the month is it?
The 4th.
See here. 2 days wrong. Oh, yes. I told you butter wouldn't suit the works. It is the best butter. Yes, but some crumbs must have gone in it as well. You shouldn't have put it in with a bread knife. It is the best butter, you know.
What a funny watch. It tells the day of the month, but doesn't tell what o'clock it is.
Why should it? Does your watch tell what year it is?
Well, of course not. But that's because it stays the same year for such a long time together.
Which is just the case with mine.
I don't quite understand.
Oh, the dormouse is asleep again.
Oh, of course, of course. Just what I was going to remark myself.
Have you solved the riddle yet?
No, I give it up. What's the answer?
I haven't the slightest idea. Nor I.
Well, I would think you would do something better with the time than wasting it asking riddles with no answers.
If you knew time as well as I do, you wouldn't talk about wasting it. It's him.
I don't know what you mean.
Of course you don't. I dare say you never spoke to time.
Oh, perhaps not. But I know I have to beat time when I learn music.
Oh, beat time? Such violence. Such vile violence.
Such violently vile violence.
He won't stand for a beating. Now, if you only kept on good terms with time, you'd do almost anything you'd like with the clocks. For instance, if it were 9 o'clock in the morning, just time to begin lessons, you'd only have to whisper a hint to time, and round goes the clock in a twinkling. 4:30, tea time. Oh, I only wish it was.
Well, that would be grand, certainly, but then I shouldn't be hungry for it, you know.
Not at first, perhaps, but you could keep it 4:30 as long as you'd like.
Is that the way you manage?
Not I. We quarreled last March, just before you know who went mad. I remember it well. And ever since that, time won't do a thing I ask. It's always 4:30 now. Oh!
Well, I would think you might learn to guess when once in a while.
Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder what you're at. You know the song, perhaps?
I've heard something like it.
Well, you know, it goes on this way. Up above the world you fly, like a tea tray in the sky. Twinkle, 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 Yes, that's it.
It's always tea time, with no time to watch the things between whiles.
Then you keep moving round, I suppose.
Exactly so, as the things get used up.
But what happens when you come to the beginning again?
The dormouse is asleep again.
Dear, dear. Dormouse!
I wasn't asleep. I heard every word you fellows were saying.
Tell us a story.
Yes, please do.
And be quick about it, or you'll be asleep again before it's through.
Yes. Once upon a time, there were 3 little sisters, and they lived at the bottom of a well.
What did they live on?
Oh, they lived on treacle.
Well, they couldn't have done that. They'd have been ill, you know.
So they were very ill.
But why did they live at the bottom of a well?
It was a treacle well. They were learning to draw, and they drew all manner of things. Everything that begins with an M.
Why with an M?
Why not?
That begins with an M, such as mouse traps and
The moon? And memory.
muchness. You know, you say things are much of a muchness.
Did you ever see such a thing as a drawing of a muchness?
Well, there's no such thing.
Well, if you can't be civil, you'd better finish the story for yourself.
I vote the young hostess tells us a story.
But I'm not the hostess.
We were told that you were.
Don't you even know who you are?
I don't quite. That is, I'm...
Just as I thought.
Completely mad.
Nobody asked your opinion.
Someone's getting grouchy.
Here, take some more tea.
Well, I haven't had any yet, so I can't take more.
You mean you can't take less? It's very easy to take more than nothing.
Oh, you haven't offered me a thing. Very well. I'll help myself then.
Well, some hostess you turned out to be.
Do be a dear and pour out. I'm simply parched.
But I'm not hosting this party. You are.
And I suppose we're supposed to just help ourselves out. Is that it?
Host a party without doing the hostess duties?
Makes the guests pour their own tea.
Well, I never.
Really? Now you ask me. I don't...
Then you shouldn't speak. I want a clean cup. Move down, move down, move down, move down, move down.
Why, it's Humpty Dumpty himself. And how exactly like an egg he is.
It's very provoking to be called an egg. Very.
Well, I said you look like an egg, sir. And some eggs are very pretty, you know.
Some people have no more sense than a baby.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty in his place again.
Don't stand there chattering to yourself, but instead tell me your name and your business.
My name is Alice.
It's a stupid name enough. What does it mean?
Must the name mean something?
Of course! My name means the shape I am, and a good, handsome shape it is too. With a name like yours, one could be any shape almost.
Why do you sit out here all alone?
Why? Because there's no one with me. Do you think I didn't know that? Ask another.
Don't you think you'd be safer on the ground? That wall is so very narrow.
Of course I don't, but if I ever did fall, so there's no chance of, but if I did, the king has promised me. You didn't think I'd say that, did you? The king has promised me from his very own mouth to
send all his horses, all his men?
You've been listening at doors, and behind trees, and down chimneys. You wouldn't have known it.
I haven't indeed. It's in a book. What a beautiful belt you've got on. At least, a beautiful cravat, I should have said. No, a belt, I mean. Oh dear, if only I knew which was neck and which was waist.
It's most provoking when the person doesn't know the difference between a belt and a cravat.
I know, it's very ignorant of me.
I received it as an unbirthday present.
I beg your pardon.
I'm not offended.
No, I mean, what is an unbirthday present?
A present when it isn't your birthday, of course.
Well, I like birthday presents best.
You
You don't know what you're talking about. How many days are there in a year?
365.
And how many birthdays have you?
1.
And if you take 1 from 365, what remains?
364, of course.
I'd rather see that done on paper. I'll take your word for it. So that goes to show that there are 364 days when you could be receiving on birthday presents, and only 1 for birthday presents.
Well, you seem very clever at explaining words, sir. Would you mind telling me the meaning of the poem called Jabberwocky?
I can explain all poems that were ever invented, and a great many more that haven't been yet.
'Twas Brillig and the Slithy Toves, Dibgyre and Gimble in the Wabe, or Mimsy were the Boro Girls, and the Momy Rats are great.
That's enough. There are plenty of hard words in there. Brillig means 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the time when you begin broiling things for dinner.
That will do very well. And Slithy?
Slithy means live, slimy. Who's been repeating all this hard stuff for you?
Well, I read it in a book, but I had some poetry much easier than that repeated to me by Tweedle Dee, I think it was.
The piece I'm going to repeat was written entirely for your amusement.
Thank you very much.
In the winter, when the fields are white, I sing this song for your delight. Only I don't sing it. In spring, when the woods are getting green, perhaps I'll tell you what I mean. In the summer, when the days are long, maybe you'll understand the song. In autumn, when the woods are turning brown, take pen and ink and write it down.
Well, I'll try if I can remember it so long.
You don't have to make remarks. They're not sensible and they put me out. Or I sent a message to the fish. Or I told them, this is what I wish. The little fishy's answer was, we cannot do it, sir.
I'm afraid I don't quite
It gets easier farther on. Then someone came to me and said, the little fishies are in bed. When I found the door was locked, I tried to pull the handle, and when I found the door was shut, I pushed and pulled and kicked and knocked.
Is that all?
That's all, goodbye.
Goodbye. Till we meet again.
I should know you if we did meet again. You're so exactly like other people.
Of all the unsatisfactory people I ever met, sure is one of them.
All right, are we all ready? Yes. On your marks, get set, go!
Look out now, boy. Don't go splashing paint over me like that.
I couldn't help it. 7 jogged me elbow.
That's right, 5. Always place the blame on others.
You better not talk. I heard only yesterday that the you deserve to be beheaded.
Ooh, what for?
That is none of your business.
Yes, it is his business, and I will tell him it was for giving the cook tulip roots instead of onions.
All right.
Would you mind telling me why you're painting these roses?
Why, you see, miss, this here ought to have been red rose trees, but we planted white ones in by mistake.
And if the queen was to find out, we'd all have our heads cut off, you know?
So, you see, miss...
Just
mine. Off with her head! Nonsense!
Consider, my dear, she is only a child.
Turn them over! Get up! You make me giddy. What have you been doing here?
Well, we were just trying to...
I see! Off with their heads! Can you play croquet? Yes. Come along then. It's the White Rabbit. Hello.
Yes, it's a very nice day.
Very. Where's the Duchess?
Hush, hush, hush. She is under sentence of execution.
What for?
Did you say what a pity?
No, I didn't. I don't think it's at all a pity. I said, what for?
She boxed the Queen's ears. Hush, hush, hush. The Queen will hear you. You see, she came rather late the other day, and the Queen said...
Bring out the hedgehogs! Get to your places!
Oh, that should be a marvelous game. Oh, here she goes.
Silence!
Marvelous shot, my dear. You are magnificent.
Sorry. Sorry, dear.
Off with his head!
Oh, no thank you. I don't want any tarts.
Excellent shots, my dear. Off with her head! No, wait, I didn't mean it to no.
How dare you?
It's the Cheshire Cat. Now I should have somebody to talk to.
How are you getting on?
Well, they don't play at all fairly. And they all quarrel so dreadfully one can't hear oneself speak.
Very true, I should say.
And they don't seem to have any rules in particular. At least, if there are, nobody seems to attend to them. And you've no idea how confusing it is, all the things being live. For instance, the art I've got to go through next is off with her head! Walking about at the other end of the ground. And I should have croqueted the Queen's hedgehog just now, only it ran away when it saw mine coming.
How do you like the Queen?
No, not at all. She is so incredibly likely to win that it's hardly worthwhile finishing the game.
Who are you talking to?
It's a friend of mine, the Cheshire Cat. Allow me to introduce it.
Your Majesty.
I don't like the look of it. However, it may kiss my hand if it likes.
I'd rather not.
Don't be impertinent, and don't look at me like that.
A cat may look at a king. I've read that in some book, but I don't remember where.
Well, it must be removed. My dear,
Yes.
I wish you had this cat removed.
Off with his head!
I'll fetch the executioner myself.
Alice, Alice, yes, yes, yes. Come play with us. Come.
Right.
you why. This is my argument. You can't cut off a head unless there's a body to cut it from. That's nature, that is. I've never had to do such a thing before in my life, and I won't start now.
Hear, hear.
Anything that has a head can be beheaded. You are not to talk nonsense.
If something isn't done about this in less than no time, I'll have everybody executed all round.
The cat belongs to the duchess. You'd better ask her about it.
Yes, ask the duchess.
She's being beheaded. Go fetch her here.
You can't think how glad I am to see you again, you dear old thing. You're thinking about something, my dear. I can't tell you just now what the moral of that is, but I shall remember it in a bit.
Perhaps it hasn't one.
Tut, tut, child. Everything has a moral, so long as you can find it. I am quite doubtful about the temper of your flamingo.
He might bite.
Very true. Flamingos and mustard both bite. And the moral of that is, birds of a feather flock together.
Only mustard isn't a bird.
Right. What's a clear way you have of putting things?
It's a mineral, I think.
Of course, there's a large mustard mine near here. And the moral of that is, the more there is of mine, the less there is of yours.
Oh, it's a vegetable. It doesn't look like one, but it is.
Right, I quite agree with you. And the moral of that is, be what you would seem to be. Or, if you'd like to put it more simply, never imagine yourself not to be otherwise than what it might appear to others that what you were, or what you might have been, was not otherwise than what you had been, would have appeared to them to be otherwise.
I don't quite follow that as you say it. Perhaps if I had it written down.
That's nothing to what I could say if I chose.
Pray, don't trouble yourself to say it any longer.
Don't talk of trouble. I've made you a present of everything I've given you as of yet. A fine day, Your Majesty.
Now I give you fair warning. Either you or your head must be off, and that in about no time. Take your choice. Have you seen the mock turtle?
No, I don't even know what a mock turtle is.
It's a thing mock turtle soup is made from. 5. Take this girl to the mock turtle to hear his history.
Your Majesty, yes. It's time.
Game over.
Marvelous game idea.
What? My tots? They're good! My tots! Oh, they're stolen!
Bossy. Daddy hasn't got no sorry, you see. Come on, this here girl wants to know your history, she do.
Sit down and don't say a word till I've finished.
I don't see how he can ever finish if he doesn't begin.
Once I was a real turtle. When I was little, we went to school in the sea. The master was an old turtle, and we used to call him Tortoise.
Why did you call him Tortoise if he wasn't one?
We called him Tortoise because he taught us. Yes, we went to school in the sea, though you mayn't believe it.
Well, I never said I didn't.
You did. We had the best of educations, the different branches of arithmetic, ambition, distraction, uglification, and derision.
What is uglification?
I suppose you know what to beautify is.
Well, yes, it means to make anything prettier.
Well then, if you don't know what to uglify is, you are a simpleton.
What else have you to learn?
Mystery. Mystery ancient and modern, wisseography, and then once a week we are drawing and stretching.
And how many hours a day did you do lessons?
10 hours the first day, 9 the next, and so on.
What a curious lesson plan.
That's why they're called lessons, because they lesson from day to day.
Well, would you mind showing me a dance?
I suppose. You mustn't have lived under the sea long. You must have no idea what a delightful thing the lobster quadrille is.
No, what sort of a dance is it?
First, you form into a line along the seashore. Then we cleared all the jellyfish out of the way. You advance twice, change lobsters, and retire in the same order. Then you throw the lobsters as far out to sea as you can. That's all the first figure.
Well, it sounds like a very pretty dance.
Would you like to see a little of it?
Very much indeed.
I suppose we can do without lobsters.
Thank you. That was a very interesting dance.
Come, let us hear of your adventures.
Well, I can tell you my adventures beginning from this morning. But there's no use in going back to yesterday because, well, I was a different person then.
That's very curious. About as curious as can be. It sounds like common nonsense. I think you'd better leave off.
Well, how about we try another figure of the lobster quadrille?
I'll sing you a song. Beautiful soup, so rich and green, waiting in a hot tureen. Who for such dainties would not stoop? Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful, beautiful soup. Beautiful soup, who cares for fish, game, or any other dish? Who would not give all else for two? Pennyworth only a beautiful soup. Pennyworth only a beautiful soup. Beautiful soup, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful. Beautiful soup.
The trial is beginning!
What trial is it?
Come on.
I've never been to a trial before. I imagine it's quite exciting. The king's the judge, and I suppose that's the jury box.
I suppose if you suppose, we all suppose.
Silence in the court!
Silence in the court!
Harold, read the accusation.
The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts, all on a summer day. Or the knave of hearts. He stole those hearts and took them quite away.
Consider your verdict.
Oh, not yet, not yet. There's still a great deal more to come before that.
Oh, of course, yes. Call the first witness.
First witness.
Off with his head!
We haven't had the trial yet, my dear.
Stuff and nonsense.
You can't stuff nonsense, Pepper. Would entice right.
First witness!
Oh, dear.
It's that Mad Hatter!
I wish you wouldn't squeeze me so. I can hardly breathe.
Give your evidence. And don't be nervous.
Or I'll have you executed on the spot.
I beg pardon, Your Majesties, for bringing this in. But I hadn't quite finished my tea when I was sent for.
You ought to have finished.
When did you begin?
14th of March, I think it was.
The 15th?
The 16th?
Take off your hat.
It isn't mine.
Stolen.
Oh, I'm a poor man, Your Majesties, and I hadn't just begun my tea not about a week or so ago. And what with the bread and butter getting so thin, and the twinkling of the tea.
The twinkling of what?
It began with the tea.
Twinkling begins with the tea. Do you take me for a dunce? Go on.
Most things twinkled after that. Only the March hare said.
I didn't know, Dan! I deny it!
He denies it!
Well, at any rate, the dormouse said. And after that, he put some more bread and butter.
But what did the dormouse say?
I can't remember.
You may go.
And just take his head off outside.
Yes. No room, no room. Move down.
Move down.
Down.
Call the next witness. Give your evidence.
Chance.
Your Majesty must cross-examine this witness. Yes.
If I must, I must. What are tarts made of?
Pepper, mostly.
Tarts aren't made of pepper. They're made of treacle.
Behead that
Call the next witness!
Oh, yes. The next witness is Alice.
Here.
Courage, Alice. Courage.
What do you know about this business?
Nothing. Nothing whatever. Nothing whatever.
That's very important.
Unimportant. Your Majesty means, of course.
Of course. Unimportant. I mean, important. Unimportant. Important. Unimportant. Unimportant. Yes, to be sure. Consider your verdict.
Silence! Who is this creature?
Some kind of monster calls itself Alice.
Oh, you forgot Rule 42.
Rule 42?
All creatures named Alice must leave the court. It's the oldest rule in the book. Then it ought to be rule number 1.
Consider your verdict.
No, not yet, Your Majesty. Yes. You see, this paper has just been picked up. It appears to be a letter written by the prisoner. To somebody.
Are they in the prisoner's handwriting?
No, they're not. And that's the strangest thing about it.
He must have imitated someone else's hand.
Please, Your Majesty, I didn't write it, and they can't prove I did. There's no name signed at the bottom.
If you didn't sign it, that only makes matters worse. You must have meant some mischief or you signed your name like an honest man.
That proves his guilt. Well, it proves nothing of the sort. Why, you don't even know what they're about.
Read them.
Where shall I begin, Your Majesty?
Begin at the beginning and go on till the end. Then stop.
I gave her 1, they gave him 2. you gave us 3 or more, they all returned from him to you, though they were mine before.
That's the most important piece of evidence we've heard yet. So now, let the jury...
If any of them can explain it, I'll give him a sixpence. I don't believe there's an atom of meaning in it.
Well, she doesn't believe there's an atom of meaning in it.
If you don't believe there's an atom of meaning in it, that saves a world of trouble.
Well, it goes on. They all returned from him to you.
Why, there they are. Nothing can be clearer than that. Let the jury consider their verdict.
No. Sentence first, verdict afterwards.
Stuff and nonsense. The idea of having the sentence first.
Hold your tongue.
I won't.